All right, everybody, welcome into this edition of the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Edition. We have a full house today. As I'm your host, Kevin, of course, and I'm joined back from his vacation paradise. We got Vince. Vince, how we doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. Doing great. Glad to be back. Sorry I missed out last week, but I was having much more fun.
I'm sure you were, and we are also bringing back our good man Howard. And of course, he's always involved in his little business ventures, but he has been able to join us today. How you doing, Howard?
Good. Hanging in. Almost the
All
week.
right. So we are
Yes.
going to get started. And, people that have watched the show know that we start off by talking about what's going on in real life baseball. And, here we are in June. We're about one third of the way through the schedule. And it looked, well, to me like we got Tampa Bay Rays. They came off an incredible May. They've got the best record in baseball. So, Vince, would you say Tampa Bay, they're the best team
Well, at the
right
moment,
now?
sure, but no, they're not. They're not the best team as far as the most talented team. They're where they've stood out so far this year has been on the road. They're 20-8 on the road right now, 15-13 at home, so they're still above 500 at home. But 20-8 on the road is pretty impressive. There's not a whole lot of teams in the major leagues right now that are having that kind of success on the road. Oakland is relatively close to that, and then Boston's not too far away on that either. But clear and above, they've set themselves apart playing on the road, which when you play in a stadium that doesn't have any home fans, you feel at home on the road, so it works out all right. They're a good team. I don't think they're the best team in major leagues, though.
Howard, what's your take?
I don't think they're the best team. I mean, their pitching has been subpar. Outside of Glass now, he like Glass now was rock solid at the beginning of the year. I don't know what he was at. I know yet last night he gave up 3 runs to the Yankees. Or was it 2? One of the two. I don't remember. But he definitely gave up 3. Their team is very hot and cold, I find. They're I think what Cash is trying to do is, hey, we're trying to do a mix of this, we're trying to do a mix of this, we're trying to do a mix of this. And when they're hot, they're hot. When they are cold, oh, they are just they're at the bottom, they're bare bottom. I'm not sold on them, honestly. I feel that with Meadows batting, I think Batman is the third. I know we talked about this really early in the year. That I think Kevin, I think he was one of your sleeper picks, if I'm right. He's not having a good year. I know he was picked off first base last night. I'm not sold on him. But there's something there. I don't think their bullpen's going to hold up.
Yeah, it's interesting because when it comes to offense, that's really been what's driving them at this point, the scoring. I think Houston might be the only team that's outscored them so far this season. Maybe I'm looking, and the Dodgers. Houston and the Dodgers have both outscored them. But runs against, they've allowed 215 runs against. The Yankees have only let up 197 runs against.
Yeah, but the Yankees also don't score any runs.
But they don't.
Well,
they're scored
we're
70.
Talk about the Yankees in a little bit.
70 less runs. Yeah.
My take on this is kind of like if the Rays are going to win their division, they kind of have to be the best team in baseball. Because look at the division they're in. They got the Yankees, they got the Red Sox, they got the Blue Jays, and there's unless you're playing Baltimore, which we're going to talk about them in a few minutes also, there's no taking any games off when you're playing these guys.
Well, Kevin, let me ask you then. I understand what you're saying, but is Boston really that good? I mean, their pitching rotation
has thrown a big spotlight on them over the past couple of games, and they might go down a little bit, but they're still a quality team, I think. And despite the struggles the Yankees have had, they're the Yankees. And Toronto, we're going to talk about them in a minute also. But whoever wins that division has to play good ball all season. It's not like one of those divisions where, you might go, let's say 90 and 72 and win a division. That's not going to happen.
No, I'm not
So
sold on the Red Sox.
whoever wins the division has to play good ball.
Yeah, and I'm not sold on those Red Sox. I mean, I haven't seen any of the games, obviously, because I haven't watched any. But no, they're coming. They are coming into the Bronx, I think, this weekend.
That's right, they are.
Someone was saying that they're a surprise team, but I'm gonna refer back. They said the same thing about the 96 Yankees, the same thing about 98 Yankees. They had a bunch of nobodies. And the X factor on that team is Alex Cora. I don't know what it is about him and his managing style, but I mean, they have the same guys from last year, different manager.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't. What was their big offseason move? I don't think they made any.
Well, no, they didn't. I had Brad Chandler on the Sports Stove podcast yesterday talking Red Sox in the AL East, and he was kind of going through the pitching staff and even the offense is all mostly young guys. Not everybody's young, but most of the young guys as well. I think they've overachieved to this point. I'm not sold that they can keep it up.
No.
For sure. But back to Tampa, I think they're the best coached team in the major leagues. I don't think they're the best team, but I think as far as the manager having to work and be creative and find pieces that work, it seems like Tampa's figured it out. So I think they might be the best coached team in Major League Baseball, but I don't think they're the best team in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, Vince, I got to agree with that, except for one little thing. Kevin Cash, he had him in the World Series last year, and I'm just questioning right now, why in the world does he have Brandon Lau hitting at the top of his lineup? Brandon Lau has been swinging wet spaghetti up there at the plate so far. Well, he's been terrible. And yet you've got him batting first in your lineup. There's got to be somebody else. Their offense could be even better if they'd find somebody to lead off for them.
So I want to kind of go back to that based on not hitting. And Kevin, you and I were talking about a few weeks ago about hitting and how the averages are all the way down this year. I don't remember if you remember that. And
I do.
I saw an interesting tweet today. Apparently, MLB has been collecting baseballs throughout this season.
Yeah, they have.
And apparently they are surprised at how many balls are doctored and how many balls are not normal. I guess that's the way to say it. And they are not. They haven't been saying, "Hey, like Garrett Cole, I don't know, is he's been accused of in the past." They haven't been bringing down fines. However, apparently the owners are meeting tomorrow to discuss putting down fines. So that I wonder if, because of all these doctored balls, if that's affecting averages based on what you and I were saying last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was.
Yeah,
so that's
a couple weeks ago.
A lot of these averages are down. I mean, you look at, granted it was 60 games. Look at last year. LeMahieu hit what, 340 in 60 games? This year he's hitting, I think, like 270. I mean, the only difference is, Ohtani's killing the ball.
Yeah.
It's you look at. I think a lot of it is with. It could be the doctored balls. I think it's because they're trying to keep changing the ball to be. I think there's just too much going on, and and I think it was even the end of last year that they were saying that the strikeouts are up.
Yeah, they're way up. They're at the highest they've ever had up to this point of the season. So
I don't know on that. I don't know if it's because of the doctored balls, which is letting hitters not hit. There's just something weird is going on, and I don't think it's just Brandon Lau circling back.
Well, no, there's a lot of players that we could bring up.
Oh, yeah.
But last week was an interesting phenomenon that happened. That there was a pitcher that came in. They didn't even let him throw his first ball before they were confiscating his hat. That was Gallegos from St. Louis, and I was questioning that because if you're going to take his hat, then why are you going to let him stay in the game?
Yeah.
So
and they said, was it today or yesterday? I guess they had 4 minor league baseball pitchers get caught, and now they're going to serve 10-game suspensions, and all happened in the same day on different teams, obviously.
So here's a question I have. Are they doing this? How do I want to phrase this? Is it Manfred making these changes, try to make the game better, or is it the owners saying we don't have enough? It's because you look at this 10 years ago, this would never have happened. You would never have the stupid extra innings man on second base. You would never have, you would never
Well, there's
have.
a lot of things that we've been trying to do to make baseball better, and we've been missing out on, in my opinion, on some of the easiest changes of all. Of, one of the things that if you're watching a baseball game and there's a guy, the pitcher standing there, and he's looking at the catcher, and it seems like he's looking at him for a minute, throw the ball already.
Yeah.
They
Oh, that
already have a rule that when the guy gets the ball, he has so much time to throw the ball back. There's already a rule in place on that. So you don't need to do all this other stuff. Enforce the rules that are already on the books.
And then you look at what was the other one? And then you're looking at I literally left my train of thought. No, I mean you look at all these different rules that they're putting in place, and it's like, where are you going with this? Now I remember. So I heard like a couple of weeks ago that the 7-inning doubleheader that might become a permanent thing. I think that ruins the game, honestly.
Yeah, I've never understood what's wrong with more baseball. What's the problem?
I think.
You know what I mean? So,
No,
I don't get that at all.
The statistics will tell you that 3 hours of baseball is too much baseball for the fan experience in the stadium.
Yep.
If you're at home, that's a different matter altogether. But in the stadium, there comes a point where, okay, this has gone on long enough,
Well,
especially if you got a 1-1 game as opposed to a 10-9 game.
I agree with that, wholeheartedly. But like I said, there are rules already in place where you don't need to be coming up with these cosmetic changes. Just let the rules that you already have, enforce them. Don't let the guy step out of the batter's box for 10 minutes. Get in there, throw the ball, let's go.
The problem is even with instant replay, the officials aren't getting it right, so they can't even enforce the most basic rules of the game, let alone the extended rules of the game.
100% on that. When it comes to instant replay, there should be a time limit to an instant replay. They look at it 7,400 times, and you know what I mean? And look at it for a minute, and then either change it or stay with the original call. Not 10 minutes, not 5 minutes, not, it's not going to help if you can't tell when you've seen it 10 times. The 20th time's not going to be any better.
I wonder if there's a stat somewhere since instant replay was instituted, how many calls have been overturned,
I'd be interested in finding that out too.
And how many have been missed? Because and it's just like, how do you miss these calls? And I get that you only have 2 a game, and I get it. It's just like football. You got 2 challenges a game, but at what point? You know what I mean? Like, what was the play? The play, when Odor got hurt for the Yankees, a few months ago, or last month for matter, they had a review, and I don't remember the outcome of the play, but it's like, at what angle do you need? And there has to be, just like football, inconclusive evidence. Well, and they have it. I think it's like in football, you have until the next play clock to throw the flag. In baseball, I think you have like 20 seconds. I don't think that's enough time. You got to pick up the phone. And it's like a gut decision. If you're in a 2-1 game and there's 2 and the bases are loaded, and a play happens and it's too close and turn, you know what I mean? I just don't think 20 seconds is enough time.
Well, I've got the number for you. 52% of managers' challenges were overturned.
So it's about 50-50. So
50-50.
Yeah. So if you're overturning 50% of the calls, then that's not looking good for the umpire, to me. Obviously.
Well, but that's why it's there. If you're going to have it, then overturn what needs to be overturned. What the
I
problem
understand.
seems to be is everybody can see from the replay, oh, nope, that was the wrong call. And then the officiating is like, well, we're going to stand with our guy. So we're going to hold it to what it was. It's like, well, wait a second. Everybody could tell that it was wrong. And yet there's still this little bit of stubbornness that says, no, we're going to be right no matter what. And that's where the problems lie. But, I'm one who's been for human error as far as saying, hey, they're officials, they're humans, they're going to make mistakes. But I interviewed a baseball player, Kelby Tomlinson, early last year, and he's a guy who's been mainly in the AAA. He played a little bit for the Giants a couple years ago, but he said we need the electronic strike zone because guys like me, if an official makes a wrong call and I get struck out, that's my last opportunity. And so we need people the consistency and correct calls because guys like me only have limited options. And if the referee screwed up, it goes our whole career.
Well, and that brings up the other point the other day. Yankees were in Detroit. The Justin Wilson, I think it was bottom 9 or bottom 10, whatever it was, right? He throws, I think it was a 3-2 pitch, it was a 2-2 pitch. Clearly a strike, hits the zone, umpire calls it a ball. Struck, game over, would have struck him out. The very next pitch,
Isn't that how it always happens?
very next pitch, the guy hit the 2-run walk-off homer. And
That's
everyone,
the way it always works in life. Yep. That's it.
and I mean, yeah, maybe the robo umps, maybe the electronic strike zone is the way to go. But I think it's going to take time to perfect it. Because think about it, you got guys who are, you look at what Judge is 6'8". His strike zone's not going to be the same size as someone
Right.
like Arthur, who's 5'11".
That's why you started in single A and work out some kinks, move it to double A, work out more kinks, and work your way up to major.
My question to you, Vince, is how do you have a universal strike zone for every single player? Like for instance, Pedroia. Pedroia's what, 5'7"? How do you have a strike zone for
Altuve? Yeah.
Altuve. Okay, here's a guy who from 5'7" to 5'8" have this strike zone. 5 guys who are 5'9" and 6'2" have this strike zone, and then you're going to get Judge who's like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think that's the way to go, and I get it. I think it's an idea, but I just think there's too many potential problems because not every single batter is the same height.
Yeah, you can't have it. It can't be a universal strike zone. You're going to have smart people.
Yeah, then you have guys that throw in and it goes at their shoulder and they're calling it a strike.
You're going to have smart people use the technology that's out there because there's technology smart enough to adjust a strike zone. They do it on TV with a square.
They do it in seconds.
Yeah. So it can be done. It's just a matter of the time, the money, and you're talking about guys losing jobs ultimately too, and you don't. And you don't want to see that. But some of these officials they've thought they've become bigger than the game, and it's really annoying to watch them.
Goes right to the head of that group. Yep. He's the one who took the hat off the guy and he was behind the plate. So that was Joe S all the way. So, all right. So moving on. Last week when I was the Lone Ranger, because you guys were off, having fun and doing what guys were doing. I talked about, who was at the top of the divisions. So this week, I like to switch that and take a look at down at the bottom and see if there are anything that stands out down there. Is there any teams that you're like, wow, Vince?
It's wins.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota, without a doubt, is the one. And Washington. Minnesota and Washington both stand out to me. Minnesota, to me, though, is in an easier division. And for them to be below the Tigers and below the Royals with the talent they have on their roster is just unacceptable. And there's going to have to be some major changes in that program because it doesn't make any sense. They don't have great pitching, but they should still be above the Tigers and the Royals.
Yeah, they certainly should.
When did they hit the most amount of homers? Was that in 19 or it was 19, right? They hit like 270 homers for the year or something.
Sounds right, yeah.
And then last year they added Donaldson. Yeah, I mean their pitch. I mean, what's their rotation? It's Barrios, Pineda, Gibson. No, Gibson's on Rangers. Who else is on that rotation?
They've got Oh, you said Maeda.
You got Barrios.
Yeah,
I'm looking
Barrios
right
is
now.
on my fantasy team, so I'm well aware of what he's up to.
I'm looking to see what their
So,
rotation is. Let's see here. Pitching.
Yeah, if you look at the bottom of the standings, you know what? All these teams, you know what all the teams that are at the bottom of the divisions have in common is they are losing games at home.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, a lot of teams have losing records on the road, with the exception of the Rangers. They're 13-13 at home. All the rest of those division teams that are at the bottom of their division can't even win at home. And if you can't win at home, you just can't win.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with that too is innings pitched by the starting pitchers.
Yep,
if you look and see, Minnesota. So I pulled it up. They got Barrios, Matt Shoemaker, Pineda, J.A. Happ, and Maeda, and the three of those five pitchers have yet to hit 50 innings on the season.
Yeah, that's an issue. That's a
Yeah.
big issue. And so, what are we to make? Because if we looked at the standings at the 1st of May, Vince, Arizona was 14-13. They were, they were playing okay, 500
Yeah.
ball. They were hanging around a little bit. Now you look at the standings, and they have just come off a horrific couple of weeks, and the bottoms just fell out of them. Baltimore, we can understand because nobody expected anybody to come out of Baltimore.
Yeah.
But Arizona looked like they might be on their way to having a pretty decent season, but everything has collapsed for Arizona.
Yeah, everything
today too.
Yeah, everything comes back in baseball because it's a long season. Everything comes back to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
and Arizona, Colorado's not good either.
No.
But nobody expected, especially after the trade, nobody expected Colorado to be that good. Arizona, they showed a little bit of hope. Bumgarner had a great game, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's back." Now he's out injured.
Yeah.
Could tell Marte, he's back now, and he's actually doing pretty solid. And he was out for a long period there. But Arizona had guys that were doing really good there. Escobar was doing decent there for a little while. And then they started to go back to where we expected them to go to. And at the end of the day, when you're in a division where the Giants are playing out of their minds right now, and then you got San Diego and Los Angeles, you're gonna fall at some point back to where everybody expects you to be.
Yep. So that's what I was thinking about the bottom of the standings. And there was some major news that came out this week, and that is that baseball scored their 2 millionth run the other day, and we're talking about how terrible the Twins are. Well, it was Josh Donaldson who scored the run. There is some controversy involved in that. What runs and back in the day, and where do we start counting this stuff? But according to Elias Sports Bureau, Josh Donaldson scored the 2 millionth run of all time. And the interesting thing is that the 1 millionth run was scored in 1975. So it took like 75 years for him to score 1 million runs. But then it's only been, 35 years or so? So, all the problems that they're having, they had, the offenses were obviously okay there for a while. And they figured out, well, we don't want offenses anymore. And then so now you got all these things happening. But so those are a couple of things that are going on.
Hey, Kevin, I saw one stat that blew my mind. I saw it from Bally Sports in Cleveland. Josh Naylor became the first Canadian-born player to hit a home run against Toronto.
I think that I saw that, Vince. So yeah,
that's nuts.
It is nuts, and baseball, for being around for 140 years, whatever you want to call it, and they're still making first. The first time this has happened, the first time that's happened. So that's why. For me, when I've at a live baseball game, I have always kept score because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's always the kind of thing that I've done when I'm actually at a baseball game. I keep the score. and it'd be a no hitter. And this is the first time in 6 weeks we are not talking about a no hitter. So if you're going to a game right now, you need to have your scorebook because it could be a no hitter. You just don't know.
Yep.
So when people are like, baseball, why are you interested in baseball? This is why. Because things happen that may not have ever happened before.
Like, for instance, Baltimore being up, 8-1 against Minnesota right now?
Yes. You just don't know what to expect. Baltimore, they were terrible. They won, yesterday. Now, as you said, they scored 8 runs. And, a team that wasn't scoring any runs, Howard, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this because the Yankees coming out of the weekend had scored 3 or fewer runs in 8 of 11 games. And the last time they had done that was in 1991.
Ooh.
So how is it possible that you have a team that has, DJ and you got Judge and you got, guys like that in your lineup? Why are they scuffling so bad?
No word. I don't know.
No word. That's why you tune into us, guys, to get this rock solid analysis.
No, I honestly, I think they're pressing. I mean, they've had. I definitely think they're pressing. They've been hurt all year. They've been getting just they just haven't been playing cohesive ball. I mean, they had bases loaded, no second and third one out in the bottom of the 10th last night, and they don't win. I mean, they won, but on Frazier's 2-run homer.
Yeah.
And I think it's with them, and I mean, this is something I've been saying for years. They're no longer singles, doubles, triples, homer. And I think this is for a lot of teams. Home run or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and we've talked about that, and that's a whole problem all throughout baseball.
Yeah.
And you go up there and Howard, just to highlight that, I was watching the Cubs game and the Padres earlier today. Javi, Baez comes up there and he hits a home run. But you know what he did in the 3 previous at bats?
Struck out. Yeah, exactly. So I think
every at bat, strikeout, strikeout, strikeout.
And
then he hits a home run, like that's supposed to make up for what he just didn't do 3 at bats earlier.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of it with the Yankees is, I think it's just, and I've been saying this all year, I think it's the fact they're playing back in front of fans. And I've been saying this the whole year because, remember, these guys have been playing in front of fans their whole lives. Little League, T-ball, middle school, high school, travel, college, pros. Then you go to a year of no fans. I think I might be in the minority here, but I really do think that having fans after 60 games is destroying this team. And here's why I say that. And Vince is like, Howard is a moron for saying and honestly, because think about it, right? Stan goes 0 for 3 strikeouts. Those boo birds are coming down.
Yeah.
Stan goes, Judge goes 0 for 5, 2 strikeouts, a walk, single, whatever he does, right? Boo birds are coming down. And they're not used to hearing it because last year, I think fans in the stadium brings a different element. Now, is that a reason why they're struggling? No, I think it's a part. I think they're pressing. I do think it's this doctored ball that is hurting them because Judge
but it's got to hurt everybody. It's not.
Right.
I think it is, though. I think it is, but for whatever reason, I just think for whatever reason, the Yankees, I don't know if it's because they're going for the long ball or if it's just they're all going through these weird slumps at the same time, which, I mean, is possible. I mean,
here's the problem with the Yankees. It's very, very simple.
Here we go.
They're playing Clint Frazier and Brett Gardner regularly.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a problem.
Ragnet Odor
Huge-
has played 30 games.
huge problem.
Odor, honestly, I was not a big fan of Odor. But
His batting average isn't a big
Well,
fan of Odor.
I'm from Texas, and I can tell you all about Odor.
I will say this. I will
just to
say this.
you know, there's a reason why he's not in Texas anymore. So
I don't know if it's just because he's a fresh start and I have never seen him play, but like whenever the camera pans him, he it seems like he's a leader. And I mean, Kevin, you can answer about this, but it seems like he's a leader. He wants to be here. He knows it's a new start. You know, but back to your point, Vince. Well, I mean, you look at who's the Yankees outfield. Hoffman was traded. You know, Hicks is done for the year. Stanton can't play the outfield.
no, you don't want that.
Florial came up for one day and they put him back down. I mean, and your starting catcher, one day it could be Higashioka, who's not a starting catcher in my mind. Next day you have Sanchez.
Yeah,
And-
Sanchez losing out the catcher position to him, and
Yeah,
that tells you all you need to know about him.
I mean, I just think the team, and I think because they are no longer this, we're going to go and spend $250 million because they're really trying to stay on their luxury checks. I think it's hurting them.
Well, yeah, I mean, they spent their money wise. Aaron Judge is a good investment. Garrett Cole's a good investment.
They didn't sign Judge to a long-term contract yet.
But they're not paying them pennies.
I think they're paying him like 6 or 7. I don't think they're paying him much. Look it up. I don't think they're maybe 10. I don't think they're paying him much, honestly. I know Sanchez is getting 6. I don't think Judge is getting more than like 7 or 8, honestly. I mean,
he's on 10 million this year, which is not much.
No. I mean, it's sad that he's getting as much as Aaron Hicks.
Yeah.
But I mean, Judge, I think Judge has got what, another 2 years of arbitration?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. But I mean, if you transition it to a fantasy look at the Yankees, you've got Judge, LeMahieu, Urshela's getting better, Torres, he's getting better, but you've basically got 2 guys that you can depend on fantasy value wise with the Yankees batters at the very least. Everybody else is they're batting under 200. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys batting above 200.
And let me guess who those guys are. LeMahieu, Judge, Urshela, Stanton, and there's 5.
Yeah, Torres.
I said Torres.
You know the reason why I know that because he's on my fantasy team for better or for worse. So,
I mean, and the Yankees they've been battling the injuries. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I mean, now Voit is hurt again.
Yes, that kills them.
You know, one of the interesting things that I was thinking about was, you know, you had Corey Kluber just throw his no-hitter a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And then what happens to him, he gets hurt, which reminded me immediately of Johan Santana.
Yep.
Who, about 10 years ago, I guess,
he
threw his no-hitter, and he was never the same after that.
Yeah, but Kluber only threw 99 pitches in that no-hitter. So
yeah, but this is a guy that threw one inning last year.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But Garrett Cole's been phenomenal.
Well, Garrett Cole is Garrett Cole. Even. You know what I mean? And so we're gonna go away from.
Yeah, I want to touch something on Cole real quick, if you don't. For 2 seconds.
DeGrom.
DeGrom
is DeGrom. He's
Bob
Gibson right now.
The Mets and Yankees do not score for their aces.
No, they don't. And that's where I was really, really, really wrong when my preseason predictions, when I was talking about DeGrom, because I thought, well, the Mets are going to score for them.
I did too.
You know, for the first time in you know, in history, and it just has not happened.
Yeah, and the crazy also thing is, my buddy who's a huge Met fan, he goes, "I got a trivia question for you." He goes, "Who has more career wins, Mariano Rivera or Jacob deGrom?"
I'm gonna go Rivera.
Yep. When my buddy sent me this text,
that's crazy.
Mariano had 86 wins, and deGrom, I believe, had 73. That is, and 2 of those years of deGrom's career were 20-game winners.
gracious.
He's won, 10 games, 11 games if he's lucky.
Yep.
The last couple of years. So
one of the good things about the Mets not being able to score, I just traded in fantasy baseball this week. I traded Lindor just off of his name. I traded Vlad, Lindor, and Carlson. I got back Bellinger and Acuna.
Ooh, that's tough.
Vlad's
Can't
great,
argue
but
with that.
Lindor's been bad
can't
this year.
argue with
Yeah,
that.
Lindor's been terrible.
And
Yeah,
Carlson
We're gonna
started
talk
off
about
hot.
him
But
in a minute, and well, I'm well aware of that because he's on my fantasy team as well.
I made a fantasy trade too, and I
No.
didn't get to that.
So we're going to transit over to the actual fantasy realm, but we have the public service announcement. Wall Street meets sports gambling in its innovative app. Symbol brings the fun of being able to play for the long term by purchasing, selling, and trading stocks of your teams. When the teams win, you win a payout. When they lose, you don't. The value of your team share and all that matters, and it's easy to use. Just download the Symbol app on your Play Store and use the promo code. We all know what that is. Belly Up Fantasy for a $10 deposit bonus of at least $10 or more. Join the fun of investing in your team for the long haul, where the sportsbook edge is put back into the hands of the player. For the latest and most fun in sports gambling, download Symbol, which is SIMBULL, and again use the promo code Belly Up Fantasy for your $10 deposit bonus today. All right, so as we had said at the top, we are in June right now. So, new month, is there any hope? So, are there any bounce back candidates that you have, Vince, that you think might come on strong in this month?
There's a few guys that are starting to drop off, and they had really good starts to the season, but then just they kind of disappeared, whether it be injuries. Dansby Swanson's a guy that's kind of started to pick back up again. It's a guy I've always liked. I've always kept my eye on, but I've never loved having him on my team. But I think Dansby Swanson's a guy that's about to that point now where he's dependable enough that you can have him on your team, and he's actually going to contribute for you. And sticking with the Braves, Austin Riley's doing the same thing. He's had some hot times and some cold times.
I sure wish I hadn't dropped him earlier.
Yeah, he's really come back around.
Yep, he sure has. Howard, got any?
Nope.
No. Okay.
I haven't looked at my fantasy team because I'm in the cellar. My team has 6 guys on the IL. And
I keep hearing that, and it's a common thing that's going on in fantasy baseball.
And in my league, we have 12 guys, and they're all very competitive. So there's literally like no one available who isn't on the IL. So I haven't even looked in like a week, because I'm in 8th, and I think my record is like 36-47, and I'm in 8th with that record. Yeah, it's all injured.
I do have a couple of guys that I'm going to put out there. One I'm a little leery of, and that is Hunter Dozier of Kansas City. I had talked about him before. This is a guy that's hit 150, but he has hits in 4 of his last 5 games. And he's somebody that he qualifies at first and third in the outfield. So he's somebody that if he would just hit his weight, would have a lot of value on somebody's roster. So he's a guy that I'm looking to hopefully pick things up a little bit. One guy that has picked up things in a big way is Tommy Pham of the Padres. I didn't see what he did today, but going into today, he had a 7-game hitting streak, and he had 4 straight games last week where he had 2 hits. So this is a guy that is putting it together. A pitcher I'm going to put out there, Frankie Montas of Oakland A's. Somehow or another, in his start before this last one, he gave up 4 runs in 6 innings to the horrible Seattle Mariner offense. but he bounced back against the Angels. He gave up 6 hits, no earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 1 base on balls. So he's a guy that I'm really looking at to pick things up in this month. And you mentioned, Vince, a trade, and I just got this alert that I've been offered this trade, Vince. I'm going to see what you think.
All right.
The
This
whole
guy's
entire
asking for
organization.
The Hyun-Jin Ryu, hopefully I got that right,
Yep.
of Toronto, who's 5-2 with a 2.62 ERA. He's given up 5 runs total in his last 4 starts. Okay. And the offer is his teammate Steven Matz, which doesn't do a thing for me,
Yeah,
even though he's 6-2. And the other one is Pete Alonso of the New York Mets, who's hitting 244 right now.
So what's the trade?
The trade is Hyun-Jin Ryu for Steven Matz and Pete Alonso.
I would turn it down. Here's why.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alonso, he's great, but he's coming off. He just
come off the injured list. He sure did.
Matt is, and I mean that team Mets are just they're a mess. They're not scoring. Alonso is great. He had a great rookie year, setting the record. I don't think last year he had a great year. Granted,
no, he did not. He did not.
Granted, it was 60 games.
Even though he's 6-2, he has a 4.22 ERA.
Matt, yeah, no, I'm talking Alonso, but Matt.
Yeah, Matt's he's
Matt,
not
I don't
bringing
trust. Matt, I don't trust. Ryu has been a quality starter, even when he was with the Dodgers. I think if you did that, you would lose that trade over the long run.
I would consider even just honestly straight up Alonso and Ryu, but since they offered you Matz, I would counter and throw in another player on his team. So you don't want Matz and counter with somebody else.
Could do that too.
Yeah, I've thought about that. So
I'm an Alonso fan this year. I'm an Alonso fan.
The press, so
only this year, no other year.
Well, what I mean is even this year. Yeah, even this year. I've got him in 2 leagues. I'm in 3 leagues. I've got him in 2 leagues. I've acquired him in both of those leagues. And right now people are down on him, so they're going to sell low. I say you go out and get him. And Ryu, he's good. Yeah, and I don't know what your pitching depth looks like, but for me, I would.
Depth, me, Vince, as I talk to all this.
No closers. Yeah,
and I have 10 free agents on my team. Only one of them is a pitcher. And that is Rich Hill, who just happened to win the Pitcher of the Month last month. And we talked about him, Vince, if you'll remember, a couple weeks ago as being one of the key pickups. And yay for me, because I picked him up.
And me too.
So yay. And so so my pitching staff is in solid shape. It may not be so much because I'm looking to see what happened to Kevin Gossman as he came out of the game. He's
going to be fine, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's serious, but I don't think I want to mess around with my pitching staff too much. And
I would counter. That's what I would do. I would take Alonso and I'd counter with somebody else on that guy's roster and see what happens.
All right. So
I made a trade this week.
Okay.
So since my team is in 8th, I'm sorry, and I'm in a keeper league. I made a decision. I said, if I'm going to get trades, I'm going to entertain them.
Okay.
So I traded Lance Lynn, a 24th and a 25th rounder, for Taylor Rogers, because you have to choose player for player, a 9th rounder and a 12th rounder.
So Rogers is the relief pitcher in San Francisco?
No, Rogers is the relief pitcher in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
But I'm looking for next year.
I like it. Yeah.
That's you saying, heck, 2021's out the window, so I'm going to reload. So
I like it.
See that.
And then check this out. Another trade happened in this league, which I don't understand.
Okay.
Garrett Cole.
Oh, my goodness.
Uh-oh. This is not going to go well. This is not.
Straight up.
Okay.
for a batter
Okay.
out west
Okay.
who plays in the state of California.
Okay.
Mookie Betts.
No. He plays around somewhere near LA. Otani.
Cole for
Don't say that
Otani.
Yeah, straight
don't-
up.
don't-
The batter Otani, because Yahoo separates them.
Oh
The
my
batter
goodness.
Otani. And I go,
Well, is there a way that you can hit reject?
so the way that we did it in our league years prior is we do vote by league. You know, you have to reject it. What we did 2 years ago is because a lot of people are complaining a lot of the trades are unfair. We had basically a voting committee where you have 3 guys or 5 guys, majority wins. This year we decided we're not going to do it because one of the guys who was doing all the sketchy trades left the league. But
And then you get Cole for Otani.
and then
imagine
Cole
that.
straight up for Otani. And the guy who got Cole is in second place right now. He was in first. The
Okay,
guy,
so
who got Otani the batter. Wait, hold on a second. The guy who got Otani. Oh no, Riz Pieces, who is in he is in 6th place, got Cole, and the guy who is in 2nd place or 4th place, got Otani.
That's a rough gig
Wow.
right there. So
It's crazy.
all right, so we're going to shift over. Vince, do you have any players that you're looking at that might be potential pickups?
Yeah, so I'm all in on the injured guys right now. You got 3 pitchers that you need to watch, not necessarily pick up right at the second, but very soon they're going to be available to play. It's 2 Miami pitchers, Eliezer Hernandez and Sixto Sanchez. Both of those guys, Hernandez will be back probably before Sanchez and will probably be better than Sanchez. But if you need pitching depth, those are guys to watch for. And then I have already claimed Noah Syndergaard, and I'm ready for his return. And if he can be 80% of what he was, then he's still going to be a contributing factor on my team that has really bad pitching. And so Noah Syndergaard's the other guy I'm watching. He's already rehabbing. He had some inflammation, so he's resting right now. But those are the 3 guys I'm watching for, all injured list guys. The guys that were on the 60-day injured list, keep an eye on those guys. They're coming back in June. And that's where you can win some big waiver wire pickups as well.
Howard?
I definitely a couple guys I liked. I still think Carson Kelly. On the Diamondbacks. He's on my team. Pick him up. He was doing well until it's Real Muto, COVID, and he was on the IL. Shocker, my team. I think he's a good pickup. I haven't really looked that well because in the last week, because my team's been hurt. Kyle Lewis just went back on the IL today, so he might get some. If you're in a keeper league, he might be a little bit available. I think he's still potential there. I think that if look at McGee, I think is closing out in San Fran if he's available because Giants are just straight killing it this year. But I definitely think I would pick up Carson Kelly. He's having a decent year out there.
Kevin, 2 batters. I'm sorry, I forgot I had these. Jonathan Villar for the Mets. He's been one of the few Mets that's actually hitting the ball and playing well, and he's got multiple position availability as well. And then Garrett Cooper down in Miami. I mean, that's a lot of Marlins I'm talking about.
That's
it is.
The guys that for those that read my article every week, I had Garrett Cooper listed on there, and this guy came back and he was like, well, he doesn't hit any home runs and blah, 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 and I would aim higher. Well, you might aim higher, but that doesn't mean we're talking about on the waiver wire.
Right.
If they were, if we're first baseman, if they're any good, they're on somebody's roster already.
Yep.
And so
he's got 21 RBIs, and in the last 7 days, he's batting 364. I mean,
what more
I'll take that.
Ask for? And he's in the lineup every day. He has first baseman, outfielder, eligibility. So
I'm
all in with you on that one, Vince.
I like it.
And couple players that I have is, and this is a guy that you want to play him when they're at home. That's Josh Fuentes. And it was pointed out to me that he can't hit on the road. In fact, when I looked at it, he didn't have a single hit all last week. Well, guess what? They're at home now. So he's only at 15%. He has hits in 5 of his last 6 home games. So if you're one of those guys like I am that moves players in and out, and while they're at home, pick him up. And a player that really needs to get picked up, that's Jonathan Schopp of the Detroit Tigers. Second base, he's got first base. He's only 16% of leagues. This guy, he hit 2 home runs yesterday. So he has hits in his last 4 games, 10 out of 11. This guy is really hitting the ball. And
he's had like 3 really bad seasons in a row. When he left, where was he? Baltimore.
Fantasy radar.
Yeah, when he left Baltimore, it just went downhill. He went to Milwaukee and had a horrible year. He's been now in Detroit, I think, for 2 years. And he's starting to come back around maybe again. He's definitely got to keep an eye on. Good call.
Yep. So we're going to move into some players that need to be dropped. And there's a player that needs to be dropped yesterday, and that's Marcell Ozuna.
Yeah.
We all know what happened with him. Let me see if I get this straight. I need to read this, all right? He got arrested Saturday for aggravated assault, strangulation. Now, when was the last time you heard of anybody, strangulation? Misdemeanor battery, family violence. He's out of the pokey right now. But I see no way that this guy has any kind of a roster this rest of this year. He's got problems way, way, way from baseball. But yet he's still owning 71% of leagues, guys. Come on out there. This guy needs to be dropped right now. So,
and I agree with you. I definitely think that there's no place for that.
There's no place for it. You can do a lot of stuff in sports, but you can't be involved in strangulation of your wife. Come on now.
You can get away with a lot in sports.
You can get away with a lot of stuff, but strangling your wife, not one of them.
So and I think that 71% or 73%?
71% ownership. As of when I looked at it earlier today.
Okay. So and here's what I think a lot of it is, and I'm not condoning this. I violence and all sexual assault, all that, no place. Absolutely no place in my mind. A lot of people do not look at their teams. So if a lot of people say, they set the team, they forget it, but they walk away. So probably a lot of that is for that. A lot of people think, they go with, innocent until proven guilty kind of thing as well. Once again, I think he should be dropped. I definitely think he will be suspended. And if you look at, for instance, Herman for the Yankees, he got 70 a game, 80 games, and an unfortunate situation for what he went through. Let me take that back. He's an idiot for what he did. for slapping.
Just look at the guy from the Pittsburgh Pirates. His name escapes me. He's in jail now.
Who's that?
The guy that he was doing stuff down there. I'm trying to.
That was with this.
I don't want to put out bad information, but he got arrested. He was involved in some serious stuff.
It was the guy who brought in the duffel bag in spring training, right?
He was involved in some kind of something down in the Dominican Republic, I believe, that it was really, really, really bad.
Yeah, no, and there was also, I don't know if we're talking about the same guy, but there was a guy in spring training who literally was dealing drugs from the spring training company. I don't know if we're talking about
the way to get yourself promoted to the major league right there.
And I think it was something like 21 pounds or something. It was something out ridiculous. But no, Ozuna, if he's even allowed back in baseball, he is going to face a
it's not going to happen soon. No, so come on, guys, drop him today.
Yep. And I think a lot of people are just like, oh, well, no, that should be. I think baseball has taken that stand. It started with Chapman when he got suspended. I think he was at that time he was the longest. then it was there was somebody else I'm forgetting.
The relief pitcher. He was at Houston last year.
I don't remember the name. I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
But no,
it's almost like Azuna. It's a different name.
but no, I definitely think.
And you know the part that really hurts for whoever drafted him 28th overall in my league. So you know what I mean. So
yeah,
that's really gonna sting. But let the sting come. Get rid of him now.
Roberto Osuna.
Any drops that you have, Vince?
Yes, it was Osuna.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just want to say this real quick before I go to my drops. I don't think Major League Baseball has done well with this. If you look through, I just pulled it up right now. 30 games, 20 games, that kind of stuff. That doesn't cut it. That doesn't work. Back in 2017, Derek Norris, he was out there man of the season, but he was a free agent. He wasn't even on a team at the time. Herrera from the Phillies. Yeah, he got a big 85-game suspension, so that's good. We need to keep that kind of stuff up.
And then Herman.
Yeah.
Herman. I think that
Herman was 81 games. Yeah.
Osuna, I think it's going to get at least $125, if not more.
Yeah. Back to answer your question, Kevin. Basically, the entire Colorado Rockies roster, just get rid of them. You said Fuentes. I would say cut Fuentes. The other guys, Garrett Hampson.
This week while he's at home.
Garrett Hampson.
He's one of those guys. He's a streamer. He's the definition of streamer.
Yeah, and then Raimel Tapia out there in Colorado as well.
Awful.
Yeah, both of those guys. Hampson's batting .083 in the last 2 weeks. Tapia is 152.
And here's
.083 in a Colorado Rockies uniform. You need to hang it up.
And here's a guy who I think is going to rebound because he's going to be traded, Mr. Trevor Story.
Yeah, I traded him already. He's not on my team.
He's on mine. Vince, guess what? He's on my team, and guess what?
You're holding out hope.
No, guess what? He's on the IL, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense he's on my team.
You could trade him for some more draft picks next year.
All right. So,
the other guy, Kevin, real quick, is Alex Baum in Philadelphia. Yeah. It's time to let Alex Baum go and see if he can get things going.
Had 3 hits yesterday, you're still
out. One good game doesn't do it for me.
Okay. Because he has had one. I was going to see what you thought about him as a buy low candidate. He's a buy nothing candidate. So
yeah, if you have a super deep league, then I'm going to hang on to him. But if you're in an 8-man league or something like that, you got to go somewhere else.
Okay. So, any players, Vince, that you have that you think are a buy low right now?
Well, I mean, we talked about Alonso earlier. I think that's one, depending on your league and what your team is, or what your other guys in the league are like. Those are the kind of guys. Bryce Harper. I tried to buy low on Bryce Harper because he's not been great, and he's on the injured list right now.
Yeah, and I for 16 before he hit the injured list.
Yeah, I got shut down.
Guess who has Bryce Harper?
You do? That's great. Outside of that, man, you got to find guys. It's hard right now.
It is hard.
With as many people that are injured, it's harder to buy low on people because everybody's got to hold on to them. They can't let people go. Yeah. So that's pretty hard to do right now. I'd say overall, everything now is starting to come around a little bit, and maybe these injured guys, Danny Duffy, maybe you can go get him right now. Kyle Gibson, those kind of guys, and see what happens when they come back from injury.
If he's a starter for the Texas Rangers, I'm probably not going to bite. I know he's pitched okay. But,
yeah.
Texas Rangers and pitching, that's not synonymous. So you're probably not going to get me to bite on that one.
Listen, I got Kyle Gibson. His ERA is 2.24. He's got 48 strikeouts to 60 innings pitched, 3-0. That's worth having, especially in a deep league. I'm in a 12-man league, and you got to get whatever you can get. Kyle Gibson's a great value in a deep league.
Yep, I have Gibson.
He's on the injured list.
He's not
Nobody that
yeah.
we're buying low. We got that. So, any players that you think that you might be able to sell high on, Vince?
Well, anybody with a name. At least that's
Anybody.
what I'm
That's right.
seeing. You got guys with names right now. They're going for. Okay, so I drafted Aaron Judge in this league, and I got laughed at when I drafted him. They said, "Oh, he's going to get hurt. He's never going to play." All that kind of stuff. I took him at number 41 overall, and got laughed at for it. And now everybody's trying to get him from me. And if I wanted, but they're also not giving me good value. They're like, "Oh, you got him at 41." Yeah, but he's a top 10 batter right now in fantasy baseball. And so if you're in a league with common sense oriented people, you can sell high on pretty much anybody with a name. If you're in a league with morons, then you're stuck with what you got.
Howard?
No, I mean, I've been trying a lot of guys on my team. I've been trying to get Real Muto from me. Another guy is I think sell high is Mr. What's his face? Scherzer. I think Scherzer is going to be a trade candidate this year.
So you're holding on to Real Muto?
Yeah, for now.
I've tried to sell high on him, and nobody will take.
So, once again, I'm in this keeper league, so I'm looking at the value. I got Real Muto in the 13th round like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So what other catchers really are top of the league?
Yeah, I got him on waiver 2 years ago.
Well, I'm like really trying to like do there. I mean, I think Chapman's been unhittable this year.
Yeah, any closer, Kevin won't buy him, but
Kevin,
any
you want
closer.
him?
Like I was telling you, Vince, a couple weeks ago, I'm still the only guy that has no saves in my league. 0.
I also think Mr. Greinke. I think he's a decent pickup. I mean, there's bunch. I mean, I'm looking at my team, Aranzaria, or however you pronounce his name.
Rosarina. Yeah,
I don't even try that anymore. You nailed it.
Yeah, he
batted leadoff tonight. By the way, Kevin.
I saw that. So maybe Kevin Cash was listening to me. So
well, yeah, the other guy wasn't playing. So
Mr.
Okay.
I might try and trade Yelich.
I've been trying to get Yelich for 3 years.
He's not having a good year.
No, he's not.
No, he's been hurt too. So
he's
not exactly a guy that if you have him, unless you trying to get Vince to go, you're probably not going to get a lot for him.
No, 250, 1 homer, 5 RBIs, and 4 stolen bases.
Maybe if you're like Vince, that's a guy that we could talk about as being go out and get as a buy low guy. Maybe whoever does have him might say, you know what, I'm done with him.
You know who's
they're not in my leagues.
You know who's having a really good year? And we said this, Trey Mancini is having a good year.
He's one of those feel-good stories in baseball. We all know that he didn't play last year, cancer and all that. We all know that Alex Smith was the comeback player as he should have been in football.
Yeah.
Lock it down right now. Trey Mancini, comeback player of the year in baseball.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
So there's nobody else. If you're going to – no one else. I don't want to hear anyone else's name.
Like, I'm looking at my team, right? This is my team, and I don't understand how I'm an eighth. Real Muto, Hoskins, Ian Happ, Moncada, Story, Josh Bell, who's meh, Solak, Marte, Aranzaria, Mountcastle, Mancini, Yelich, Sanu, Ty France, Carson Kelly, and my pitching's even good. Scherzer, Chapman, Yami Garcia, Pineda, Greinke, Tyler Anderson, Ian Anderson, Rogers, Stroman, Keuchel, Urias, and then my long-term keeper is Gore. How am I in 8th place? I don't understand.
I might be able to shed some light on that for you, Howard, because listen to my roster. I'm in 2nd place, and I have Molina, Smith, Pavin Smith, Wendell, Moncada, Simeon, France, Villar, Soto, Tucker, Carlson, Garcia, who's going to win the 2nd month in a row for Rookie of the Month, Mullins, Matt Olson, Adam Frazier, you talk about a pickup of the season. Adam Frazier has to be in the conversation. Jameer Candelario, he's a guy that had like 27 straight games or something where he's got on base. And those are just my batters. Pitchers, Yu Darvish, Nola, who has not pitched well. He's disappointed me a lot. I've drafted him pretty high. Hyun-Jin Ryu, as we talked about, Barrios, Anderson, Lopez, Gossman, Manet, Eovaldi, and then Rich Hill are my pitchers. So that's how I'm in second place. So
I don't want to interrupt, but the Dodgers scored 11 runs in the first inning against the Cardinals.
Yeah, Bellinger grand slam on his second at bat in the first inning.
So, the Dodgers have done that once before, way back in their history. They scored 10 runs in an inning.
Yeah.
So
that's going to be a long night.
Pitcher is, just hopefully nobody started him in fantasy.
I don't think so. Is it? Well, I'm looking to see right now if they switched out a guy. Yeah, Martinez. Ouch.
Oh my goodness.
Martinez gave up 10 earned runs, and then Woodford came in to finish out.
I don't know what happened with him. He was dominant for a while.
Actually, he wasn't bad in his last start. He wasn't bad, and
he was really good for his first 3-4 years, and then he just tanked.
Hasn't been good, except for when he plays the Pirates.
So, Vince, I read off my roster. So, what kind of roster are you looking at?
Well, which league you want me to read?
So, your strongest one. How about that?
Well, I'll give you my deep league, the one that's the 12-team league. I've got Narvaez, the catcher, Alonso, Villar, Arenado, Swanson, Correa, Riley, Judge, Dominic Smith, Dylan Carlson, Garrett Cooper, Taylor Ward from Los Angeles, just picked him up yesterday, Ryan Mountcastle, Mike Yastrzemski, and Andrew Benintendi, with Brandon Belt and Dylan Moore on the injured list. Pitching, I got Freddie Peralta, Trevor Rogers, Brandon Woodruff, Dylan Cease, John Grant, Vince Velasquez, and then I've got a bunch of guys on the injured list there as well. Then I've got Rafael Montero.
Yeah, Velasquez, I'm sure you saw what he did on Monday.
Yeah, he's getting cut soon.
That was real, that was one of those unfortunate timings, Vince, because Monday morning, right, I put out my article, pick up Vince Velasquez, okay? And so he goes out there and just, imploded.
Yeah, 3 innings, 6 earned runs, and 18 ERA. It wasn't pretty.
No, so consider that recommendation rescinded.
Oh boy, we went long today, Kevin.
Yes, we did. So we're going to wrap this up. Any final thoughts, Howard?
Nope. Just the Knicks just broke my heart.
Yeah, that's the subject for a different show. Which, as you all know, there are shows out there on the Belly Up, lineup. There's shows every night. Basketball. You got hockey. You got the hardcourt honeys running around. The slapshot sweethearts. Of course, you got our own Vince. He's got a show. He's out there, and that's right. You're going to talk about that in a minute, Vince. But there are shows out there, guys and girls. So Belly Up, get out there, see what we got going on. So, Vince, why don't you tell us where we can find you?
All right, on Twitter @SportsStove is the best place to follow me. I am on Instagram as well. And then podcast coming out 3 times a week, Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights. Tomorrow night, I'm sitting down with Wayne G from Infinity Sports on the Belly Up Network. We're going to be talking all things basketball, NBA playoffs, the Boston Celtics craziness that happened today, and also some Coach K talk as well tomorrow. You can find that.
What time is that, man?
It'll be live on YouTube at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and then it'll be in the podcast right afterwards.
Yeah, got to get there and join up on that one. So, Howard, how about you?
You can find me NY Sports Guy 13. I do a lot of tweeting about New York sports, and that's pretty much it.
All right, so you can always find me on Twitter at Kevin62WILSEA. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me certainly on the Belly Up website, especially over there on that fantasy side. And like I said, I have an article that comes out every week, Monday. You can set your watch. So And I always look forward to talking to people about, you want to talk fantasy sports? Get with me. So that's our show for today. And sure, I'm happy that everybody joined us. And like I said, we had a full house, so we're good to go today. So any final thoughts?
I'll see you next Wednesday.
Have a good week, everyone.
All right. You guys have a great night.